Hello and
Yeah.
welcome to Study in Bosnia. My name is Dr. Kloos. I'm talking with Yusuf Ertürk, one of our students from Germany who studies in Bosnia, to be more precise, at the East-Sarajevo University in Foča. Welcome, Yusuf. Thank you for having this interview with me. Maybe you can give yourself a little introduction, explain how you came to study in Bosnia, and yeah, how you made that decision to actually
Mhm.
move.
Sure. Thank you for having me, by the way. Um, my journey started back in Germany. I was grown up in Stuttgart and worked as a banker before, but decided to do something more altruistic, something more meaningful. And that's when the medicine studies popped in my head. But there was like this big hindrance of like in regards to the high school diploma, and therefore I postponed the decision to study medicine because like I couldn't actually, um, which is not true, else I wouldn't be here due to Marcel, of course. Um, we have been working together, and he has made possible for me to study medicine without the, it's called Abitur in
Yeah, high
Germany,
school,
and it
A
has.
levels, high school diploma, graduating diploma. Yeah. So you basically, Yusuf has a 12-year diploma, but
Yeah.
the qualification wouldn't allow him to study medicine in Germany. However, he can, in some countries, some select countries, he can study medicine, which one of them is Bosnia.
And without disadvantages. So, like, it is internationally renowned. So, that's a major green flag for me in this regard, because otherwise I couldn't study medicine. And now, sort of, my dream came true by having sort of other options that allow me to study abroad and without any disadvantages. In fact, I actually benefit from it in regards to studying in Germany. I always wanted to study English as well, because I think it should be fluent enough to go through university, and I found it is actually. So I'm very glad to be here and have made this decision to go abroad to study. Yeah.
Absolutely agree. I mean, having studied in English also helped me to in Germany to get my job because nowadays the world is so international. And in the big clinic I worked, there were so many patients from different countries that I would always be the one talking to the expats. And the expats are actually quite good clients because they're private insured or they just cover the bills from their own from Japan, United States. I was close to Frankfurt and it was always I was the only dentist in the area where I worked that could actually perform a total treatment in English language, like in a proper English manner, right? So I would know all the terminology, but also the conversational parts, which my colleagues from Germany wouldn't know. And that was actually quite helpful because sometimes also in dentistry, you need to explain things. I remember, for example, very vividly one patient with a craniomandibular dysfunction, which is a dysfunction of the jaw, right, of the muscles in the jaw. And there you have some educational part that you need to explain properly. And that patient was so happy because I could perform that well. And everyone in the clinic always saw I'm the one that can deal with all the international students, people. In my business, that's the students, but in the clinic, of course, the patients. So it helps you a lot in Germany as well. And I think it's a huge advantage also to having that experience of going abroad. Because after I lived in Germany, I decided to go for a country with even better salary, better working conditions. And because I had that experience that, hey, I can survive somewhere else in a different country. It was more easy for me and my wife to make that move again and come to Switzerland and establish our life here. So I would absolutely agree. It's a huge advantage to go abroad and also to have a degree in English because the origin of medicine and dentistry, the professional language today is English. The origin is like Greek, Latinized Greek, but the modern terminology is all English. So even if you studied in Germany or in Italy, you would need to study English in your medical program as well in order to keep up with modern medicine, right? So it's a, I totally agree, it's a big advantage. In your case
So what I've
also,
been That's what I've been told also, by the way, like normally it's like taught in Latin and it's getting pushed into the background ever more. And they told me
exactly.
like your doors are basically open if you stick to learning everything in English.
Absolutely. Maybe you want to explain a little bit more about your experience with our company, study in Bosnia. You're from the German part of the agency where we place students all over Europe from Germany, but
Yeah.
it's not directly studying in Bosnia. But maybe you can explain a little bit about our procedure because it's exactly the same with study in Bosnia, just that we are focused here only on Bosnia and the different universities here, including also other study fields. But maybe you can explain your journey from like the point where you were researching online about studying medicine abroad until
Yeah.
you actually moved to Bosnia and started your study life on campus there in Foča.
Basically, the biggest hindrance was just getting the study place. And as I've mentioned, and then I just Googled some stuff about how to maybe study medicine without this high school diploma, which is required for Germany. Then I found like this agency, study in Bosnia. Actually, another agency, but it's the same. And
Yeah, so
basically,
it's
I
a
had to,
German business, which is like in our German company, we focus on German clients with all of a huge variety of different universities across Europe. And in study in Bosnia, it's an English language agency that is focused on all different study fields, but on Bosnia. So there we have clients from all over the world, and the German agency is like only German language, only German clients, and different universities specializing on opportunities that are suitable for Germans, right? Solutions that are good for the Germans, including Foča, which is a very popular place. That's why we also have an office there. That's where you study.
basically, that almost seemed like an impossible task to just get the study place. And thank you, by the way, for providing me with that study place so I can
Welcome.
be here. And yeah, and then the next part is the sticking through, like sticking to it, and the organizational stuff, which in this regard I've received much help as well from the agency. Like everything has been clearly outlined, what has been to do and when, and if I couldn't do something, for example, you were always there to lend your hand and just push myself through all this. Organizational stuff, which made everything way more easy. I know people who don't have an agency and they struggle with these matters so much that they actually had to repeat a year. So that's for
Yeah,
me
I
one
heard
big
that as
bonus
well.
point.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah, yeah,
problem when you have an agency that doesn't have an office there, then it can get very complicated because they are not actually there and they might have some representatives or someone that is responsible. Often those are, in most cases, those are students. And when they have exam sessions and they're responsible for you, your visa or your
yeah.
residency, that can be very difficult. Also, they might become ill and then there's no one who has the knowledge, so that's very difficult. That's why we have an office with several people there employed. There are four in total now, and that guarantees you a certainty that the job will get done, right?
And they're like available 24/7 basically. No matter when I talk to one of your partners, I receive a message in like no time, 1 minute maybe. And it's like chatting with the AI bot, but it's like real
Yeah,
persons who are always there for you. So
yeah,
I don't think anything can happen if you've been backed up by such an agency like that. So that takes like a big part of the headache away you would have if you don't start this project without an agency. So I
yeah.
strongly recommend it and wouldn't do this all by myself, to be honest.
I totally agree with you on the part that we are very fast to respond. That's actually a core value in our company because we value time of our clients, often they have busy parents as well. And if you contact us directly, you will receive a message. Of course, there's some time differences if you're on another time zone, but we are very fast. And as soon as I see a message, I answer it, right? And also my colleagues. So that's very important. If you want to find out about that, you can actually book a free consultation. Just message me on WhatsApp and we will talk in person and you will get a free consultation. Maybe Yusuf, you can explain also a little bit about the pathway. So you got your free consultation, you found us online, you got your free consultation with us. I personally always do the consultation. It's really important for me to do it in person, not delegate it to someone who is not a medical professional and has not that much experience. And then after your consultation, where we determined your university and what's the best fit, or sometimes it's a variety of universities that we rank according to your preferences. Then what happened next?
I greatly appreciate, by the way, just like going through this interview process and filtering out which is most suitable for me and my goals. What happens afterwards? We close the deal and start the process going basically. Set everything up, notify the corresponding members who will be of help later. For example, when you pick me out of the airport to go to the place where I basically will live for the next years in regards to my medicine studies. And the next thing is just showing you around and do some organizational stuff that is like necessary to go through. And you have
Absolutely.
this, yeah, you
Maybe
have this
you,
outline, which I really appreciate as well, where like every step is outlined. You don't even have to think about it. You just go through this to-do list, and when you need help, call one of Marcel's partners, and everything gets solved in no time. While others are still struggling with it. I know some people are still struggling with it. I'm done with every organizational stuff there is, so I
mhm,
can just relax, don't have to worry, and concentrate on my studies, which is very important for me because it can be intense at some point.
mhm. I agree. I think that's important as well, that we focus also on getting the things done fast, right? But
Yeah.
maybe explain a little bit because the people don't really know how we work. Like we have an app, right? The medical academy in Germany, it's Medizinische Media Academy. Here is Study in Bosnia Academy. And maybe you can talk about how the app is structured, how it works, how you communicate with other students that start with you. And yeah, just so people have an overview of over the process. So after you start with us, you sign the contract, right? And after you
Yep.
sign the contract, by the way, you never have to pay in advance. You pay on arrival. In Germany, it's like after the admission is coming for the international students who also sometimes have worries about the visa. And even though I tell everyone Bosnia is easy to get the visa. You will not get rejected. Of course, we are excluding if you are on a list of blacklisted countries that we exclude in the consultation. But when I give you the go and say, hey, you can start, you can rely on getting the visa. However, because some parents are worried having bad experiences with other companies that are not so professional. Because
Mhm.
of that, we do it like this. When the student arrives, they pay on arrival in the office, right? So that's a distinction between German clients and international clients. But the process is the same. Sign the contract, get access to our academy. And yeah, maybe Yusuf, you can explain students a little bit about how the academy works.
Basically, when you first register on the academy, you just type in your name and stuff, and really quickly you'll get this outline of things you have to do really fast, as I've mentioned before. And after you've done it, you can like you have many other members from Marcel who are that registered there as well, and you can use them as valuable contact and sources of information if you just need somebody in the first year, for example, second year, third year. There's like everybody is there that has to do with Marcel, and they are actually of great help. Besides that, there's like learning material, so you can get a taste of what it will feel like and what you will learn in the future. And everything that else you need to know about the studies, like what to look for, what to prepare for, what you can do in the future as well. So A to Z is everything is basically outlined. Like the whole process is mapped already, and you just have to do the steps. Um, and that's basically it. And I think that's a huge advantage in regards to others who have to do it manually and do the research and use different resources to just get some information that is already posted there. So that's actually huge, that you've done
Absolutely
so much
agree.
research and just share it with the others. So it's like an automated process basically, and it takes
Mhm.
90% of the pressure off, at least in my experience. So I'm actually very glad to have this app. I'm still using it, by the way,
Nice
making
to
some
hear.
new friends as well. So it's useful for almost everything, not just for studies, for contacts, for connections, for research, for learning. You need only this one app and you'll get through. That's what I'm sure of.
Awesome. Maybe explain a little bit about the question of finding an apartment, because many of the international clients, the apartment situation is very different in different countries. For example,
Yeah.
Germany for students, getting an apartment is very tense and sometimes basically impossible. Sometimes people still they even camp in some universities in Germany because they can't get a room, right? The situation is
Yeah.
crazy. And it's similar in other countries. So maybe you explain the situation, how we managed your apartment situation and what the process looked like, so people have in mind how what they can expect basically from our service regarding apartments.
Yeah, admittedly, I was one of the ones who were like a bit worried about the apartment issue because the decision was quite spontaneous and how am I going to find an apartment and things like that? How am I going to set up my life? And that was actually the easiest part in the end, I figured, because you quickly supplied me with contact information of the people who just rent apartments in here. Well, basically of one who is like
Real estate agent.
exactly the real estate agent, and he has many apartments like ranging and with ranging prices, which is like very good. So you can decide what your lifestyle will be like depending on how much you are looking for to invest. So that was actually the easy part. When I just asked this agent if he can show me some pictures, and he instantly did. I was satisfied. We just met up when I came, and everything just worked out perfectly. Um, Actually, there was in the first apartment one problem that got solved very quickly as well. We even got a better apartment in the end. So that's where I can assure you guys you don't have to worry, especially if you have an agency. You will find probably an apartment, highly probably. Like, I don't know anybody who hasn't. So I guess that's a point where most people worry, but ironically, nothing wrong happens in most cases, in all cases,
I'm
basically.
glad. I'm glad that you have a good experience.
Ich höre dich nicht.
Jetzt hörst du mich wieder, oder?
Ja, ne.
Perfekt. Okay, can you just repeat what you said?
About the apartment issues, like in regards to how am I going to find an apartment? Will I find an apartment? Will it be too expensive? That's actually what I've said is just that everybody worries about this kind of issue, but that is where mostly no problem occurs. So at least in my experience, and you get provided with enough apartments you can choose of. So actually, I was one of them who learned a lot about this. In the end, it just flawlessly worked out. Like we found an even better apartment because I had some issue with the first one. So this guy said, "No problem, I'll show you another one. No worries," because he just has enough. And there where I study are just it's just a big market of market. So I wouldn't worry about this. They're like, to be honest, some more important stuff in regards to medicine studies, but I can actually relate to the people who worry a lot about this because I did as well. But I can assure you, you don't have to worry. If you have an
Yeah.
agency and they're backed up by an agency, everything will sort out itself.
Absolutely agree. I don't think there are a lot of other companies in general who manage studying in Eastern Europe well with regards to apartments. But because I also, I lived 6 years in Bulgaria, I know Eastern Europe very well. And I easily, when I go to a new country, I easily connect with the important people in the city. So we have directly contact to, I don't know the English word, but it's, a real estate like mogul, right? The one that has the most
Oh
apartments in
yeah,
the city. So he's working with us, and that's why we have huge supply of real estate apartments, how to say student apartments. And there, that way, we have basically guaranteed that our students always have some apartment, right? So that's maybe a little bit about the background about why there's no problem with apartments, because it's really important for me that all the students find immediately a solution. Glad that it worked out for you. Maybe tell us a little bit more about the start in the new country. When you took your first flight, you got picked up by our team, right? Then
yeah.
what happened? You had already your apartment, or you went to a preliminary one? That would also be interesting. Like, okay, now you
Hmm.
got your study place, you have your admission, you have your admission letter, you have visa invitation letter, but what? You got your visa for some people who need to get the visa before coming here because of their law. Let's
Yeah,
take
yeah.
for granted you got your visa, right? In your case, you're from
Hmm.
Germany, you don't need visa, you arrive in Bosnia, and then you apply for the visa, right? But how does the process look like from flying and landing to the airport to
Yeah.
actually getting started at university and have your first day there?
Yeah. That's actually the exciting part because after all this organizational stuff is done, you actually want to stick to it and put it into practice. And when I arrived, I was kind of scared how like it's gonna be, but you did a great job in your agency to just pick me up, show me everything, and basically I was picked up from the airport, was sent directly to my apartment, and we had a nice meal. We like had dinner, and then afterwards they showed me the apartment again, showed some good things about it, some bad things about it, and I had some issue with my health, so this apartment was not like conducive to my health. So I asked the agent to maybe if he could show me another apartment. So he actually did immediately. He just said, "No worries, I have many other," and then I could actually pick one of those apartments, and
Awesome.
the prices were very good. So he gave me a nice meal, picked me up from the airport, showed me everything around, made a compromise, found a solution instantly without like having to figure out something, without like bureaucracy or other stressful organizational stuff. And first day, everything was finished. He showed me around the city, around the apartment, around the supermarkets, where like the most important things just to know. And basically, within a day, I was already feeling confident in the place where I'm living at right now.
Awesome. That sounds perfect. Thank you
Yeah.
very much for your
Of course.
insights into your experience working with us. Is there maybe some last sentences, phrases, recommendations that you would like to tell to students who are thinking, or maybe parents who are thinking to
Mhm.
working with us, to getting started in Bosnia, to actually take action and get a medical seat through us? maybe to, have a
Yeah.
nice ending for the video, just what would you recommend those people now listening, watching, and just thinking about getting started?
Surely, yeah. First of all, I would definitely not worry if I have this agency on my back because they will pull you through everything. Basically, they've done this hundreds of times, and it's like secure. You don't have to think even. Like, forget worrying. You don't even have to think. So, if you really are, the only thing you have to bring with you is the eagerness to really stick to your studies and
Absolutely.
cut through the 6 years. If you have an agency, don't worry about the rest. We did, I did, my family did, and it was kind of a waste of time, to be honest. So, you gotta just trust the process because, as I said, this has been done hundreds of times with hundreds of other students, possibly thousands, maybe in the 10,000s. So
Yeah, well,
my advice,
we have 340 successfully placed students, exactly, to
mhm.
be precise, yes.
Yeah, in your agency, I meant like
Yeah, you
generally.
mean in
That's the
general?
value of
Yeah,
the.
definitely,
But with
definitely.
your agency, I don't think there are many like that like go through the whole process, you know.
Aha, yeah, yeah,
From
yeah,
from
yeah.
others, I just hear they like give you the study place and then you're up to your like you're on your own after that. Or
Yes.
maybe you have the study place and they just try to help you with the apartment and it's like full of compromises, which is what I not recommend. If you really want to stick to your studies, get good grades, invest in a good agency because in the end it will turn out to be very useful and more useful than having any disadvantages I can't even like think of right now.
Thank you
So
very much for this nice review and shared experience. Um, Maybe in the future, it would be great to maybe give us an apartment tour if that's okay for you, or maybe share some other experiences. Until next time. And now, if you're listening, interested in more, visit our website study-in-bosnia.com. You can book a free consultation. Link is below this video. See you the next time. Bye bye, Marcel, and our guest, Yusuf.
you see you